Search continues for the father of 3 missing at sea. Long-time Malay businessman farewelled. National flag carrier Air Niugini fulfills traditional obligation with Aropa Landowners.
This is National EMTV News with Mary Bartulo.
Welcome to Saturday's news. Thanks for joining us. A father of 3 has not yet been found since going missing at sea on Wednesday. The 28-year-old from Central Province was travelling on a dinghy from Pari to Lealea. It is feared that the recent strong winds and rough seas may have been the cause of the man's disappearance. Godwin Eki reports.
In calm weather conditions on Wednesday afternoon, Peter Amos and his cousin Gamu Noka left Pari for Tautu in search of betel nut and some fishing. When strong winds and rough seas hit Port Moresby and the Central Coast in the early hours of Thursday morning, Peter's father and United Church minister at the Kiriwina congregation in Port Moresby, Reverend Wilson Amos, became concerned. By Thursday mid-morning, when both men didn't return, a search party was organized. Gamu was found later that afternoon and is out with his fellow villagers searching for his cousin. Peter's mother, Mara Maraka, is saddened at the thought of losing her only son in such circumstances, and with her daughter-in-law, Darowa, have placed their faith and hope in God that Peter is alive and safe somewhere in the area. The National Disaster Office, when contacted, said the search was referred to the National Maritime Safety Authority. Comments from NMSA were unsuccessful as their phones were not answered. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has condemned the tragic loss of lives in the series of terror-related incidents in France over recent days. Mr. O'Neill conveyed heartfelt sympathy on behalf of the people of Papua New Guinea to the people of France. The Prime Minister said the attack on the Charlie Hebdo magazine editorial team was particularly alarming, with deep implications on the freedom of expression around the world. Mr. O'Neill said he hopes that the perpetrators are brought to justice as soon as possible. The Gulf Governor's seat is not vacant. This is according to Simon Keta, lawyer representing Havila Kavo. He says laws relating to the qualification and disqualification of a Member of Parliament need to be read in their entirety to avoid confusion.
In recent days, politicians from the Gulf province have come out in the media questioning Kavo as the legitimate governor of the province.
People are entitled to make, express their views, and that, pursuant to Section 46 of the Constitution, but they need to be, mindful that for the benefit of everybody, that those comments are fair and factual. As
Ketan said, according to Section 17 of the Organic Law on Provincial and Local Level Government and Section 103 of the Constitution, the Gulf Governor's seat is not vacant. Ketan said these laws offer clarity on the situation when they are read together and in full.
In this case, the appeal against conviction was lodged on the 29th of October 2014 within the statutory appeal period of 40 days. So the disqualification under subsection 3 was suspended.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Since surgical operations resumed at Arawa Health Centre in 2013, it has now become a training hub for future doctors. The first group of resident medical officers from the University of Papua New Guinea recently completed their residency rural block training. From a once well-established health facility, burnt down during the Bougainville crisis and downgraded to now a health centre, their presence is a signpost for an immediate upgrade. Fabian Hakalitz has this report.
3 resident medical officers have completed their residency rural block training at Arawa Health Centre under the supervision of Dr. Joe Velosi. They not only come from Papua New Guinea but also from other Pacific Island countries like Solomon Islands and Tonga. More experiences, knowledge and skills acquired whilst on their training. More surgical procedures, both major and minor, were performed under the strict supervision of Dr. Velosi. Danton Outer from the Solomon Islands has achieved a lot and said doing residency in the autonomous region of Bougainville remains a history, rising up from the crisis ashes.
So we did some of things that we haven't did in the hospitals. Some major surgeries, we had the opportunity to do it here in the rural block. We have to manage patients by ourselves, and it gives us more confidence.
Maine Asapo from Tasman Island in Bougainville is happy to return and serve in the autonomous region.
My plan is to come back in Bougainville to help my own people. I'm not planning to work anyway. But since I came here and with all this scoping and infrastructure building up.
Dr. Velosi said the presence of resident medical officers was a relief. Concerns were raised on the need for more medical doctors in the autonomous region of Bougainville.
We would like to have permanent doctors here as well. I believe we will get one or two in the near future, meaning this year.
Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News, Aropa.
National Health Secretary Pasco Kase has come out about the financial crisis faced by the St. John Ambulance Services in Port Moresby. In a recent media statement, Mr. Kase said St. John's Ambulance has received generous support funding from the National Health Department. Mr. Kase blamed the mismanagement of funds by the previous management for the current situation of a lack of funds for staff and operations.
The financial woes of the St. John's Ambulance Services recently surfaced in December. Disgruntled workers at the headquarters voiced their concerns after an internal memo said they would not be paid their salaries for the last 2 fortnights of the year. Recently, the St. John's Clinic at Gordons and Gerehu reportedly had their services affected because of financial issues. In a statement released recently by Health Secretary Pasco Kase, he blamed the previous management of St. John's Ambulance for mismanagement of funds. Mr. Kase said the current management, headed by CEO Andrew Kalai, is taking steps to address the situation and have the support of the National Health Department. Mr. Kase said given the deteriorating management situation at the Gerehu Clinic in particular, the National Health Department has stepped in to review management and funding arrangements. The department is directly managing and funding the staff payroll as of December 2014 and will continue to do so until new management arrangements are in place. Delhi Bagu, National EMTV News.
National flag carrier Air Niugini fulfills traditional obligation with the Aropa Airport landowners on the Q400 named Keta. With more other local stories right after these short messages. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. In Lae, the death of longtime Singaporean businessman and Morobe Stationery Group owner Titi Tan was described as a loss for Morobe Province and the country as a whole. Hundreds of people paid their last respects to Mr. Tan at his funeral service at the St. Mary's Cathedral yesterday. The late Mr. Tan was recently murdered at his residence at Eriku. Sylvester Gawi has this report from Lae.
Friends and families gathered this morning and gave a moving farewell to one of Morobe's long-serving businessmen. Many of his employees broke down in tears as they paid their last respect. The late Mr. Tan was not only their boss, but he was a father figure to many of them. Many who turned up at the funeral service were in tears when his eulogy was shared by those who worked with him.
Mr. Tang has been a very...
Former Morobe Provincial Administrator Kemas Tomala described late Mr. Tan as a great man who has contributed tirelessly towards the education sector in Morobe Province. He supplied stationery materials for schools on credit and he never asked for upfront payment.
He has supplied schools without demanding payment. And that has benefited a lot of school children throughout Papua New Guinea.
The late Mr. Tan is a victim of one of several killings that have shocked Lae City at the turn of the new year. Police investigations have begun into his matter, but for the business community and other senior public servants, they are concerned about the growing lawlessness in Lae City. Kemas Tomala has called on Morobe's political leaders to work in partnership to address this problem.
Moro province and Papua New Guinea deserve good people. And we as a citizen, both young and old, everybody deserve good living in this community. And I call upon...
Meanwhile, 3 police detectives, led by Director of Crimes Peter Guinness, are already in Lae to investigate the killing of Mr. Tan and also the shooting of Moana Pisimi on New Year Day. Sylvester Gawi, National EMTV News, Lae.
The 2015 academic year is approaching and parents in the country are now looking at ways to obtaining school fees. Some parents in Lae have opted for bigger financial institutions to get loans to meet their children's school fee costs. While the fees continue to increase, average Papua New Guineans will have to dig deeper into the pockets for school fees.
While some parents find school fees affordable, others obtain money through bank loans. Scenes like these are common in front of almost every bank and financial institutions. Leong Tianga, a father of 3, has come to the NASFAN Contributors Savings and Loan Office in Lae seeking school fee loan for his children. It is a busy time for organizations like NCSL. NCSL officer in charge Alice Agua says they will be expecting more parents to come over the next 2 months.
Anybody who's a member to Niche Fund and who's contributing to Niche Fund, they can always start doing that. But you have to be a member to NCSL first too. And most of our major clients are all the private companies. In Lae, like it's an industrial company, and we have a lot of members there.
All these come after growing concerns by parents regarding the national government's free education policy. In 2012, the government paid 75% of school fees. In 2015, 18,232 schools in the country will benefit from the free education policy.
For the beginning of the year, it's going to be a lot. There are going to be a lot of parents coming in.
While such loans are given to members of the savings and loans organizations, it is difficult for those who are unemployed.
School fee blongolem. Deri blongol sabay. Saksi loan ta sol misa LP mem long, sapoti mem long. Lunch money blol pikinini na kai bla house.
People like Kaprangi give a small representation of many other parents who rely on the informal sector to find money to pay for their children's project fees and other associated costs at the beginning of every year. Colleen Barilai, National EMTV News, Lae.
The Aropa Airport landowners of Kieta, Central Bougainville, have applauded national flag carrier Air Niugini for recognizing and fulfilling Melanesia's cultural obligations. The landowners want to follow Bougainville's pathway to referendum as active recipients of goods and services. Fabian Hakalitz with this report.
The national airline has fulfilled its customary obligation for using the name Kieta on one of its Q400 aircraft, Papa X-Ray Tango. This aircraft bears the name Kieta for a maiden flight to Aropa and for carrying Prime Minister Peter O'Neill for the airport's reopening on December 12, 2014. Air Niugini senior executives led by General Manager Commercials Dominic Kaumu handed over 2 pigs and other food items to landowners. Part of Air Niugini's obligation is to promote cultural heritage. Recognition was given to landowners, national and autonomous Bougainville governments for allowing the resume of flight operations.
Now we travel all around Papua New Guinea promoting our people of Kieta and our island of Bougainville. And that's like very important, yeah. So as part of our healing process, reconciliation process, we play come up, those 3 teams la. Na me lo plus so that me too can walk about the go free go come, balus lumi run go come. Now I bring him service. That's like important, yeah.
The traditional obligation fulfillment has opened doors to many business opportunities, and landowners assured that air services will continue in and out of Aropa Airport.
Part of also customary obligation where you play working finish. Lo you me lo talk place you say call him Tampango or Kutpa person. Kutpa person lo osem you working lo all man where only one in something working this time. All the time only got looks have lo you and because something you play working.
Very risky. We are with arms, but they have let the plane come land on Aropa Airport, and it's a very big thing. Today we have thankful hearts for them.
Meanwhile, landowners willing to take ownership of the airport through recruitment exercise for school leavers. This includes cost benefits and spin-offs. The greatest and deepest autonomy in the Melanesian society is the fulfillment of traditional obligations, and landowners have promised to take ownership of the asset to allow air services in and out of Aropa Airport at Toborai Village, North Nasio in central Bougainville. Fabian Hakalitz, National EMTV News.
And that's where we wrap up our news stories. More sporting action next. Stay tuned.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Acting Prime Minister Grand Chief Leo Dion, on behalf of the government, congratulated Papua New Guinea Football Association President David Chung for his re-election as Oceania Football Confederation President. Under Chung's leadership, PNG Football Association gained significance, bringing football to another level both nationally and internationally. Some achievements include the development of Football Academy and the staging of the Oceania FIFA Women's Qualifier in Kokopo last year. His re-election makes him the FIFA Vice President. Two separate sporting meetings that kicked off today in Port Moresby, the 2015 PNG Olympic Committee National Coaching Conference and the National Athletes Forum. The conference upskilled roles and responsibilities of all PNG national sporting administrators for the Pacific Games in July, while the National Athletes Forum values expectations.
Team PNG's Chief de Mission Richard Casman certainly didn't mince his words earlier today as he was expressing to each and every one of the athletes that were present his expectations, especially out in the public eye. Now, over at the coaching conference itself, there were a number of bodies that were present, apart from, of course, the PNG Olympic Committee, and these included the National Sport Institute, the PNG Sports Foundation, Voice of Athletes, the Sports, and of course the Sports Medicine Australia. And the conference is actually being facilitated by members of the High Performance Training Center. Now, among other things that were spoken about today, they did talk about the roles and responsibilities for each and every one of the coaches and administrators that are present, and also, like Richard Casman stated, the expectations of Team PNG come July. Jeremy Mogi, National EMTV Sports.
And that concludes our sporting action for today. I'll have for you the weather details when we come back.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
This weather information is brought to you by Tablebirds.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, Port Moresby, cloudy with showers and rain for Kerma, cloudy with rain periods for Alotau, and showers and rain for Popondetta. To the Momase region, Leh, you can expect showers and rain, and a few showers expected for Madang, Wewak and Vanimo. Over to the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, you can expect cloudy periods with patchy rain periods in Kavieng, showers and rain in Rabaul, and cloudy with rain periods for Kimbe, and showers and rain for Buka. And in the Highlands region, all centres to expect widespread rain. And there is a strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of the southern PNG-Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island to Kerma, to Yule Island to Hood Point, Arama Coast to Samarai Island, and Bogia to Wewak to Aitape, Vanimo, northern PNG-Indonesian border, including the New Guinea Islands. Waters of southern PNG-Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, Kerma, Yule Island, Hood Point, Arama Coast to Samurai Island, seas 2.5 to 3.5 meters. Waters of Samurai Island to Cape Vogel, Wasu Point and Finchafen, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, Finchafen, including Vitia Strait, CSC Island to Long Island, seas 1 to 2 meters. Waters of west of Long Island to Medang to Bogia to Wewak to Aitape, seas 2 to 3 meters. And the ocean forecast for PNG areas: coral seas very rough with southwest to northwesterly winds at 34 to 48 knots with gusts. Solomon Sea, seas moderate to patches rather rough with northwesterly winds at 15 to 34 knots. Bismarck Sea, seas rough with northwest winds at 20 to 34 knots. And Pacific Ocean, seas rough with northwesterly winds at 20 to 34 knots. And that's where we end our bulletin this Saturday, the 10th of January 2015. From the EMTV News Team, I'm Mary Batulo. Bye for now.